Our next guest speaker and presenter that is coming up is a phenomenal woman doing phenomenal things. I want to say a bit here about Miss Vanessa Smith Garrison, co-founder of Girl Trek, which is the largest public nonprofit for Black women and girls in the U.S. that is building a movement of 1 million Black women walking daily. Miss Vanessa Smith Garrison, you have done amazing work, and I'm so glad that you are here today to bring all of your energy and work right here to our audience. Please welcome Miss Vanessa Smith Garrison of Girl Trek.
Peace, family. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound great.
Amazing. This morning has already blessed my soul. Hello, everyone. Thank you to my brother White King for the invitation. Thank you for Curtis behind the scenes who's holding it down. Thank you for the libations, by the way, from Dr. Marcia today and for her calling in the ancestors. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Vanessa, and I am Vanessa, daughter of Annette, daughter of Olympia, daughter of Melvina, who, like many of your ancestors, fled the terrors of Jim Crow South, seeking a new life and new freedom and new peace in the North. And like many of our families who went to Chicago and Harlem and Detroit, she went first to St. Louis, but didn't find it safe enough there, and then landed in the Pacific Northwest of Seattle, Washington. And there she birthed an entire family, of which I am of a great legacy and happy to be representing them. Happy to be the daughter of the Central District, the daughter of Garfield High School, and now the founder of Girl Trek, which is the largest public health organization in the country serving Black women with over 1 million members. We walk in superhero blue shirts in our neighborhoods. We organize on behalf of our families, and we stand as models for what joy and healing could look like. And today I'm here to talk a little bit about Girl Trek's work, but mainly I'm here to talk to the people, you, who on a Saturday morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the diaspora, decided to dedicate your time to this conversation. You are the builders, you are the organizers, you are the doers. You are often the people who are putting everyone first on your list and yourself last in service of a big vision to liberate our people. And I want to tell you that I see you. I see the work that you are doing. And I am here to remind everyone that there is no vision for Africatown, no vision for our liberation or freedom that does not start with the healing of Black women. Girl Trek's mission is to inspire and mobilize Black women across this globe to start to walk in the direction of our very best lives, walk against every single thing that is come to kill, steal, and destroy us. Black women are dying in the United States at faster and higher rates than any other group in this country, and most of those things are preventable. Now, the manifestation of those things looks like heart disease. It looks like stroke. It looks like diabetes. It looks like us literally suffering under the burden of systems that do not serve us and were not meant to protect us. But the health crisis on the surface is so much deeper. It is deeper than anything that we can do and change on the scale or with our diets. This is a crisis that first must acknowledge the trauma that we have experienced as a people. And Girl Trek's work is to bring that trauma to the forefront, to have public, honest, brave conversations that say that Black women can no longer hold up the sky on our own, that we can no longer, in service of even this fight, even this conversation that we are having today, put our bodies on the line. And so I'm here to ask us to reconsider in this work, how do you as activists and doers and people who I know have families and other things that you could have been doing on a Saturday but came to dedicate your time, how do I remind you to pour back into yourself so that your well can overflow and that we can bask in that overflow and build together, so that we cannot, like in the spirit of Fannie Lou Hamer, who organized nearly 60,000 voters in Jim Crow, Mississippi, but died at the age of 59, or Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote some of our most prolific novels and plays, but died at 41? How do we not, in the spirit of those of our ancestors who've come before us, die in service of this work? Girl Trek has come up with a lot of amazing solutions for how we do this. The first of those is to get Black women to start to prioritize themselves through 30 minutes a day of self-care, and we do that through walking. We then developed something called the Tubman Doctrine, and I am here to talk to you all about the Tubman Doctrine today. It is 4 simple tenets that I hope we all walk away from. If you don't hear anything else from my voice, I want you to remember this doctrine. And I need you all, those of you who are building and doing alongside other doers and builders, to hold each other accountable for living and thriving, for finding our joy in the midst of this work as we do it. So the first part of this Tubman Doctrine, the first mission of Girl Trek, is never ask permission to save your own life. And if you have a baby girl or a baby boy who you can go back today and you can model that for, this is what we are here to tell them. We are not going to be asking anybody. And that means you may not need to ask your spouse, your partner, your whomever it is, that you need to take control right now of your own life and walk in the direction of the things that are calling you. And how do you do that? 30 minutes a day for yourself. In whatever healing practices fill you up. And if you don't have one, we start with walking at Girl Trek because it's simple, it's affordable, it's accessible. And in community, we can start to walk and solve our problems together. So that first tenet, never ask permission to save your own life, has been the tenet that has caught fire across this country. 1 million Black women understand it every single day. We're not asking anybody. We're lacing up and getting up after what's mine. But the second tenet of the Tubman Doctrine is, once you have learned the way, just like Sister Harriet did, on her first freedom journey, she walked over 90 miles and she walked alone. But she did the most important thing, and that's the second tenet. She came back and she got a friend and she got a family member. She really came back and got her husband, but he had got another woman. We ain't going all into that conversation today, y'all. But she came back. She came back. That's the important thing. And that is the work we are doing right here. King came back and got me. I'm in Washington, D.C., but I am here because Seattle is my home. And I'm going to come back and get the organizers of Seattle, Trina and Makia and Angie and Shaka and all of the women who organize on behalf of Girl Trek. I came back and got them. And so now I need y'all to go back and get somebody else into this movement so that we can stand side by side and start to walk together. So the second tenet is, once you have found the way on your own healing journey, to go back and get somebody else and bring them with you. And the third tenet, and that's the work, the investment work, the resource work, is to rally our allies. Girl Trek understands that Black women are not dying every single day higher and faster than any other group because we're lazy, because we're the hardest working people on this planet. It's not because we don't simply want to run a 5K or don't have time for leisure time exercise. It's because we don't have leisure time. And we don't have leisure time because we're getting paid 61 cents to the dollar of the white man, because the housing system and the transportation systems have displaced us from our communities and places of work. And so for Girl Trek, our tenet is, now that I'm healed and now that I have brought my sisters, we are going to go back and with our allies demand the things that we need, the resources, the investment in community. We are not going to forevermore put the narrative on individualism to say it is our behaviors that are putting us in this circumstance. So the third tenet, which is to rally our allies, is this work of Africatown. And those allies can be Black, brown, white, or otherwise, but they must firmly believe in the full liberation of Black people, and they must support and honor the work and labor of Black women. Now, the fourth tenet of the Tubman Doctrine, and this is the most important, and it is my favorite. It is to find joy. When we started to look back to our ancestors, and we look back to their stories because this road that we are on right now, this struggle that we are in right now, these insurrectionists that are at the Capitol right now, this gentrification that we are talking about right now, it's really nothing compared to the road that we have already traveled. And in fact, if we look back to our foremothers, if we look back to our ancestors who have already paved the way, they have already provided us the solutions. And so in studying Harriet Tubman and in studying her life, the woman who we modeled Girl Trek after, the fourth tenet was the most important. It was that Harriet Tubman, in the midst of all of it, in the midst of freeing 700 enslaved people on the Combahee River, still managed to find joy. And Black folks, wherever you are, wherever you have called in from, and I saw some folks from Nigeria, I saw some folks from Ghana, I saw some folks from DC out in the reception, wherever you are, it is an act of warfare for us to publicly and unapologetically lean into our Blackness and our culture and to curate and to find joy and to pass it on. Harriet Tubman lived to be almost 96 years old. She planted an apple tree. She adopted a child. She married a younger man. This work is not meant to break us. It is meant to build us. And the building of that work must start with us breaking off the chain of struggle. We are not here to simply survive, but to thrive. We are here to actually pave a way so that Black women and our young Black girls can actually start to break the generational curses, break the cycles of the trauma. And we do that through conversation. We do that through walking. We do that through organizing. And we do that in community with each other. And so my call to action to everyone who is listening to me today is this. You have taken, by the time we are done with this conference, we will be 3, 4, 5 hours into some juicy topics, into meeting some folks. We're going to be DMing. We're going to be on the side. We have breakout sessions. But after this is over, I want you to ask yourself, now that you've poured into this community, how are you pouring into yourself? How are you practicing the self-care of Audre Lorde, the self-care of collective community that says that when I'm down, you might be up, and when you're up, I might be down? Not the self-care of bubble baths or capitalism that tells us we need to be in spas, but we do. But the self-care that says that it is mutual aid, it is mutual understanding, it is mutual support, it is the tribe. It is the tribe that will move us from this place of brokenness, to a place of healedness. And the tribe is only as strong as we are strong as individuals. And so let that be a message. Let it be a message that permeates every conversation you have, whether the conversation be about building economic power, whether the conversation be about environmental justice. Let that conversation still center us and our needs. Let us not apologize. Let us not ask for permission. Let us understand that it is our birthright and inheritance, that our grandmothers and our grandfathers, that our great-grandmothers and our great-grandfathers already put it all on the line for us, that it is ours to simply grab right now and pick up. That if you are in Seattle and you are on the front line of white supremacy, because I grew up there and I know what it is. If you are in the South and it's as obvious as being flown with Confederate flags in your face, that wherever the terror is, that if we look to each other, to the brightness in our eyes, to the smile that simply will not go away, to the melanin that keeps bubbling up, that we will be reminded that we are a people of survivors, a harvest of survivors, and that this next chapter for us is going to be about building from an asset-based mentality that refuses that we put anything on the line, that says that we must die, that says that we must struggle, that says that we cannot have actually abundance, that it cannot be all of these things plus. It is my mission. It is my call to action. It is my life's work that we do this work with a full understanding and breadth of the possibilities of, if what we do now sets a model for our babies, then they will then start to change the culture, change our culture, change our habits, change our thinking, change our very DNA. DNA that actually has been embedded with the imprint of fear, DNA that can still remember the trauma of ancestors who crossed oceans, DNA that can still hear the calling out of people who were torn from their families. But we're here to build that back and build it back better. And that's what Africatown is about. So for me, Africatown in its fullest vision includes whole, healthy, healed Black women. It includes whole, healthy, healed Black families. And it includes us unapologetically demonstrating that in every way we can imagine, in our nuances, in our fullness, not as a monolith, but in ways that actually matter to us as individuals, so that we can build on to a collective that forever, forever, forever will no longer be dying in the ways that we are right now. And I mean spiritually dying, I mean mentally dying, I mean physically dying. So if you haven't heard of Girl Trek, this is your official invitation. Tell your mama, tell your sister, tell your auntie. Tell her to join the movement at girltrek.org. Tell her to connect with the sisters in Seattle who are walking. Tell her to come to us with a spirit of organizing, and we will help her to organize. And note that when a Black woman organizes, when a Black woman organizes just one family, that family multiplies tenfold, multiplies community, multiplies neighborhoods. And that if you know anything, certainly growing up in Seattle, we know that the legacy upon which we are all here, the legacy of that we are pulling from, was Black women organizing for us in the city, in the South End, at the CAY, at the Elks Club. Those were Black women. Those were our grandmothers cooking church dinners and selling them, and then holding rent parties, and then watching everybody's children. And in that spirit, I want us to remember those things, to not toss them aside, to not diminish what we have known to be valuable, and to not pick up what other communities and cultures tell us is valuable. We already have the answers. We already have the solutions. We already have every single thing that we need. But it starts with us, Black women, not asking for permission, going back and getting a sister, rallying our allies, and finding joy. I am grateful for this conversation. I am grateful to be in community. I'm looking forward to hosting a breakout session later. I'm looking forward to the rest of the conversations. I am grateful to be invited to this. Thank you so much.